Hi everyone, welcome back to Book Talk with Nika. Today's episode is episode number 4 in this series, and today we have with us a very special Kajri Gautam from Paperbacks and Pen, whom I'm sure you guys already know. She has been my friend from the very beginning, I think 2-3 years now. I don't even, I've lost track. But thanks so much, Kajri, for being with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let me introduce you all to Kachri in case you haven't already, you don't already know her. She's a 20-year-old sociology student who's pursuing her bachelor's in Indraprastha College, DU. She is also a book blogger on Instagram, like I said. I'll mention everything down below, the handles and everything. So you should definitely, give her a follow and check out her amazing content. She is also very passionate about reading, writing, and she also often creates art, which I have a lot of fun checking out on her Instagram stories. So yeah, thank you so much, Kajri, for being with us today, and
Thank
really
you.
glad that you could join us.
Me too, me
So
too.
yeah, today's topic, as you guys can see from the title itself, is going to be all about thrillers. Kachri will be talking about her favorites. I'll be talking about mine. And we are very, very excited. Stay tuned until the very end if you want to get some amazing recommendations. And yeah, so we'll start now because I am really, really looking forward to this. And yeah, right. So the first question that I'm going to ask Kajri is, how has your experience been with audiobooks, especially in today's time, in this corona pandemic and everything?
Um, uh, Honestly, I was not a very big audiobook listener, but during these times when you are at home and you don't really have much to do outside, I think audiobooks have been very helpful because sometimes you just don't want to, open a book or like
Right,
read an ebook, and sometimes you're doing work and you don't have time to read a physical copy. So audiobooks, you just plug in and you just listen to an audiobook, and it's like at the same time you're also doing your work, you're also getting your work done, and you're also listening to a book and listening to something. So I think that way audiobooks have really helped me, and especially like I use Storytel. So Storytel has a range of audiobooks in different languages. So it's also
right,
helped me, listen to stories in Assamese, which is like so less in today's literary world. So it's
absolutely.
really nice that way.
Yeah,
And
seeing yourself
it's
represented.
yes, and because Assamese language, you don't exactly see these, small indigenous languages out in like the popular literary
World.
platforms, So
Yeah,
it's really
it's
nice that
almost
way.
always English and Hindi.
Yes, and I think like so there are certain books, especially thrillers, when you're listening it to on audiobook, you get something like a different experience because I think you like get to listen to it narrated, and I think when the narrators do a really good job in bringing out the whole,
Absolutely.
like the whole suspense and thrilling feel of the whole book. And I think I like listening to thrillers mostly on audiobook, especially when it has a podcast or like interview type of narration, and it's really good that way.
Right. And
And I
especially
think
like you said,
uh,
in terms of thrillers, if the narrator is good, then he really creates that environment, that spooky environment, and it makes you, really eager to find out the clues. Every time somebody says something, you're like, is this a clue? Do I need to keep this in mind? So it really is very beneficial in creating that atmosphere with when it comes to
the reader,
audiobooks, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it also feels like, it's like a movie playing inside your head when you're actually listening to it. So it gives like a different kind of experience all the while.
Yeah, and overall, I think audiobooks are really accessible because, and especially in terms of Storytel, as I've been using in these few days, we also have for our dear audience a very special offer going on right now. For just 375 rupees, you get to use Storytel for 90 days. And I think once again, coming back to my own personal experience with Storytel, it's very accessible. Like I said, you just have to pay it once, and then you can listen to as many audiobooks as you want. And there are ebooks also, which is again another plus point for whoever likes that. But I think it's so much more beneficial and affordable, easy on the pockets than like compared to the other audiobook listening service, which I'm sure you know
Right.
what it is already, because you don't have to pay the price for the book every time you read a new one, which especially being students, this is a great opportunity and great deal that Storytel does for all of us. So yeah. And I know, Kajal, you read a lot of thrillers, and I always really like, going through your stories. And I've already taken so many recommendations from you. And today, our audience is also going to benefit from that. And, I personally really like reading thrillers when, in as a break. Like sometimes I'm reading completely romance books, sometimes I'm reading just, literary fiction books. So it becomes very heavy and sometimes kind of monotonous.
Monotonous.
So right, and when you read a thriller, it's like it makes your blood pump. So it's like a really
Exactly.
refreshing thing. And yeah, well, like I'm sure you agree to that. As a break, thrillers are really really nice.
It just makes you, like, say when you're reading a young adult contemporary or a romance, you don't have to put so much, thinking process into it. It's a light, fluffy book. It feels good, like all those contemporaries and romance. But when you're reading a thriller, actually, I don't know about others, but I actually get so invested that I am sometimes I'm like plotting out in my head like who is the killer or who is the who is going to turn out as the killer and everything. So it just makes my mind just go like round and round, and like I'm actually I feel myself going along with the narrator of the book also, like trying to find out points and plot twists and everything. So it's I think thrillers and even mysteries are kind of books that it's an acquired taste,
Yeah,
of course, but it also like if you really like it, I think you also enjoy it a lot because it really
I
takes
agree.
you on a journey.
Hmm. And whenever I'm reading a thriller audiobook, it's like sometimes I pause and then I pause it and then I'm like, okay, so what has happened till now? I do a like refreshing of revising of all the facts that I know, and then okay, now let's see what happens. Sometimes that refreshing is also cool. And I think it's since it's a person actually narrating, it's very much more easier to recall all of the events that have already happened. So I think that's a
Mhm.
really great plus point. uh, then now I really want to ask you, since we're talking about thrillers, how did it start for you? Like, what were the first books you read? How did you, discover this genre, and what made you stay within this genre?
I honestly, again, I was not a big thriller reader. Okay, like when I was young, I used to read a lot of romance and young adult contemporary, and I was like, thrillers are not my kind of book. I was that type of reader. But what happened was I bought myself two Agatha Christie books. Okay, the most popular ones, Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None. Okay, the two books I bought from I think the book fair, and I read them one by one. So I first read Murder in the Orient Express, and it was really good. Like it was one of my first thrillers, so I was not really, I could not exactly guess what was happening. So it really took me by surprise. And then I read And Then There Were None, and that
Which is
book
a
was
classic,
like
I think.
it was just so well written. I think like right until the end, you just keep guessing and you just never figure out what is happening and why it is happening.
The
I think
perfect rhyme.
that was the exactly. I think that was the book that really made me so excited about thrillers, and like I wanted to find after reading that I wanted to find more books that were like And Then There Were None, and I think that is what just led me on a journey, uh, reading all the thrillers and mysteries and actually enjoying them after that.
Right. I think for me also the first books that I picked up as a kid were obviously Agatha Christie, and I also really liked reading the Nancy Drew books, which are again all of the books that we're mentioning today. They are available on Storytel, so I'll make sure to link all of that down below if for the audience's convenience, and you should definitely check those out. Again, like I said, if the reader is a beginner, I think these books are really really good. Sherlock Holmes,
Mm,
Agatha Christie, and Nancy Drew, they're really good. And with Nancy Drew, like being a girl, I think I really really liked getting to read her story. And sometimes I would be like, why doesn't anything happen in my life, in my surroundings, so that I can go detectiving and all of that. But yeah, there were such amazing amazing experiences that you have as kids. So yeah, I think in this pandemic, especially to the audience, if you want to make your kids, your siblings read some amazing amazing books, we have all the recommendations for you that will be stated down below. So make sure to check those out as well. So let's move on to the most exciting part of this video. And now Kajri and I will be recommending and talking about some amazing thriller audiobooks that are available that you can check out. Many of these have been made into series, into movies, so you can how do I say this? You can get the enjoyment of reading the book and listening to the book and getting that experience, and then actually seeing the series or the movie, so that you can compare it. I mean, it's I personally find it to be very fun, comparing the actual book to the
Yes,
adapted version. So I think it's
yes.
really good. So maybe Kajri, you can start first, and then I'll go, and then you'll go. We'll do that maybe.
Sure, sure. Okay, so it's actually like really difficult to like recommend thrillers because I've read so many of them, but I keep forgetting like which ones I've read because um let's face it, not all kinds of thrillers are as good. Sometimes they are really disappointing. But
That's true.
over the course of like say last year, this whole pandemic time, I read a couple of thrillers that really like took me by surprise, and they have all become like my top favorites. So like the first book I will talk about is Girls with Sharp Sticks by Suzanne Young. As you already said, it's available as an audiobook on Storytel too.
That's right.
And Girls with Sharp Sticks is basically like a kind of dark academia thriller, which is set in an all-girls school, which is also a very mysterious school, and the girls are like kept very disciplined. They are controlled and everything, but they are also told that it's for their own benefit. So it's that kind of school until everything gets disrupted when one of the girls meets a boy, and he kind of points that there is something wrong with their school. And this sets a course in motion where, the girl, the main character, which is Philomena, she keeps thinking and she goes on a journey with her friend to discover what exactly their school is and, what exactly is the secret behind the whole institution. So I think this book, when I was reading it, I think I read it earlier this year, I think January or February, and I had no idea what to expect from this book. I was kind of expecting something else. When you hear about boarding schools and girls being controlled and everything, it really speaks about the truth also, because there might be certain schools like these that are mentioned in these books, like
Yeah.
where girls are controlled and all that. So reading this book was very scary. It was like it was so real, and all the things that the girls went through. It was very real, and I loved the way the friendship was depicted between these girls, and how it was mostly about girl power and female friendships rather than a romance story, and female friendships and girl power toppling patriarchal institutions. So I think I really liked that book,
It's
and it
great.
just it's a really good thriller. It keeps you on the track. It keeps you guessing, and it's just it's easily become one of my favorites.
And like you just said, when we mix the two subgenre and genre together, that is dark academia and thriller, it has the capacity to do so well. And like you just mentioned, this audiobook was amazing, and I'm sure everybody would definitely keep a track of this, because you guys need to check out this one, because it's very good, just as Kachri recommended. So the audiobook that I'm going to recommend is one which is very popular. A series has been made on it, and everybody seems to really love it. It's very critically acclaimed, and it's You by Carolyn Kepnes. If you have not heard about it, which I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, let me tell you what it's about. So we have this guy who works in a bookstore. His name is Joe. One day to his bookstore comes this beautiful girl, an aspiring author. Her name is Guinevere Beck, and he falls in love with her. But the thing is, he's a stalker, so he uses the details, the name that's written on her credit card, I think it was, and then he stalks her, and he creates all of these. He manipulates the situation and creates other situations from that which lead her to falling into his arms. Basically, he creates a situation which basically lead to their union, I would say. And
Mm.
if there's any obstacle to their relationship, he'll do anything to get rid of that, even murder, which is very interesting. And I think the series was also done really well with I actually forgot his name. The guy who plays
Ten that
Chucho. Yeah, he does it so well because and I do have to say that I personally feel that the first season is like I personally like the first season more than the second one, because I think the actress who plays Guinevere Beck, she does an amazing job of it, and I actually really liked her. But then towards the end we get to know of some things about the characters, and they're both very flawed characters, I would say. But overall, I think this series, this audiobook is one that you should definitely check out if you haven't already. I'm talking about both in terms of the audiobook and the series as well. So you'll definitely enjoy it. Check it out. So, okay,
I
back to you,
also
Kachri.
I also have to watch it because I haven't, and I haven't even read the book. But like the series is as a whole is so popular that
Yeah.
even if you haven't watched it or like read it, you actually know what it is about. So
Mhm.
like when you were telling me like all the story, I was like, yeah, I know it already, even though I haven't watched or read it. So
And
I
the
think
actors do it really well. So, yeah, like worth it.
yes, they have the whole creepy element going on about their characters really well.
Yeah.
So, the next book that I would like to recommend is allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. It's another thriller that really kept me up all night to finish, and I was just again another book that I had different theories for, but ended up totally being wrong. No, not exactly wrong, but like like surprising. So, in allegedly we have a young girl who is in a juvenile jail, yeah, juvenile jail because apparently uh, she had murdered her uh, babysitter. Like her mother is a babysitter, so the baby that her mother was babysitting, she alleged like it was that she allegedly killed the baby, and
Okay.
she is in trial and. She's also baby. Okay, she's I think if I'm not wrong, she's about to be like an adult. Like she's in her teen years, I think, if I'm not wrong. I read it like years, like last year, so I don't remember that well. But she was going to be transferred from the juvenile court, I feel, and we see her in the whole like the juvenile system where she is kept until her trial, and we see her reminiscing back on that day, what happened, and we also see how inside the system she falls for this guy, and how she wants to fight for her freedom and prove her innocence. And it's her story. She wants to let the truth out in the world, but we don't know what the truth exactly is, and that is what it leads up to the end. What exactly is the truth? Did she actually kill the child, or was she like
Falsely accused.
yes, falsely accused by someone, by her mother or someone else? And I think the most interesting part about this book is how there are transcripts in between, and there are these, reports from other psychologists and writers who are writing about this young girl who allegedly killed the child. And seeing these snippets in between the actual book is very interesting
Makes it
because
so
you see it as
interesting.
a movie playing out. Like
Yeah.
there are these psychological reports on this young girl's psychological outburst. If like someone saying that she must have killed it, someone saying that she did not kill it, someone saying that she is not psychologically fit. So it's just all like she becomes so famous that people start writing books about her, people start discussing her, and she like she needs, and now she needs to prove her innocence. But how is she going to do that, and is she actually innocent? And if she is, how is she going to prove it to the world when she has been in juvenile court since young age and away from her mother? So it's a very, I think, a deep tale. And also the book talks about racism. It is, you know, because she's a black kid, she is more prone to the racist, scrutinization of the public and everything. And I think the kid that was allegedly killed was a white kid, if I'm not wrong. So the whole racism play also comes into this book. So I think it really dealt very well with the whole thriller aspect, with the whole the familial aspect, the mother-daughter relationships, and at the end also the whole suspense and mystery thing. Uh, it's like it's become one of my favorite books. I think favorite thriller books, and I think people really need to read it. Like I have seen 50-50% about this book. Like some people have read it, some people have no idea that this book exists. So I really hope that people pick this book up. And even though the ending might not be surprising for a lot of people, I think it's still a really good book overall.
Right. Yeah, it sounds definitely interesting, and I'm sure everybody is intrigued and will pick it up very, very soon. Right. So, the next book that I will be talking about, recommending to you all, is called Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. Now, a Netflix series has been made on it, and it's everybody says that it's very good. I'm yet to see the Netflix series though, but apparently the like execution is done really well. So, what this book is
Mm-hmm.
about, we have this character whose name is Louise. She's a single mom. She has kind of a very monotonous and a boring life. So one day she goes out and meets a guy in a bar and has a kind of, sort of a one night stand, and like it ends. Okay, that's it. But then she goes back to work on Monday, and it turns out that that man with whom she, she did the thing on the weekend on that night out is actually her new boss. And
Yeah.
that's not just that, he's her new boss. He's also a married person, and who says that, their kiss was a very bad idea, they should not do it again, all of that. But they're still very attracted to each other. At the same time, Louise makes friends with this new woman who's come into town. Her name is Adele, I think. But the twist is that Adele and David are actually husband and wife. And now Louise is brought into their orbit, I would say. And everything looks so great from the outside. Their marriage seems perfect, but inside, what Louise sees is that this guy is very controlling. David is very controlling, and Adele is actually very afraid of him. And so, what the story is basically her trying to find out what actually is the truth. I mean, of course, it's a thriller, so I cannot give you every detail without giving out a few spoilers. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, again, it's very, very good. The audiobook is done really, really well. You should definitely check it out. And like, of course, like I just said, do check out the series if you have already, let us know what you felt in the comments down below. So yeah.
For that, like before that, like behind her eyes, I actually read the book last year too, and I think this book was marketed as having the most, what the kind of ending, like it has the kind of ending that you're either going to love a lot or you're either going to hate a lot. So
Okay.
it's like when I was reading the book, it was just in I was actually thinking about something else, like until the end, like my mind was in somewhere else, like I was having different theories than what the author had planned. And I think like it's a very interesting story, like, and there are lots of like a lot of Easter eggs throughout the book, I think, which was very well planned. But yeah, so and the
Right.
Netflix series also, I think, did good with the whole, plot twist and planning and the whole showing of things, it was
Hmm.
good. So I think people are either going to love it so much or they're going to
Yeah.
like just throw the book across
And
and they're
another
going to
thing
like,
I found was that everybody has a lot of thoughts about that ending. So yeah,
hmm,
I mean that
it
should
is
like, yeah, the audience should be intrigued
it's
enough by now. And without giving any more spoilers, we'll move on to the next book. I have a last book to talk about today, and it is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. Now, basically, what happens in this book is that we have a very unreliable narrator, because this character, whose name is Christine, she wakes up every day and she does not know where she is. There's an unknown man beside her on the bed, and she's unfamiliar with it all. And this man always wakes up and tells her that he is her husband. His name is Ben, and that they've been married for many, many years. And then that, like, I think 2 decades earlier, he tells her this, that 2 decades earlier, you were in an accident. So you have this problem that you cannot remember anything. Your every day is very new for you. And so Christine tries to find out what really is happening. And as she tries, as she gets as close to the truth as possible, she really finds that everything is really unbelievable. And like I said, an unreliable narrator, what's very important with that unreliable narrator is that she's really unreliable. You don't know if it's something that she's imagining or if it's really happening to her. And I think that the audiobook narrator also does a great job of this. So you can definitely check it out. Another thing is that I think this book also, yeah, this book has a movie made after it with Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth, and they do it really well. Really enjoyed it, and you can definitely check out both of these. And yeah, so that was those were our recommendations, and we hope you have kept note of them. But if not, don't worry, because we'll make sure to link the books down below so that you can check them out, and make sure to pick up these audiobooks yourself, read them, listen to them, and tell us how your experience was. And yeah, Kachri, would you like to say anything before we end?
Um, I, not like I like thrillers are like as I've said in the beginning, thrillers are a very quiet space. Not a lot of people actually like thrillers and mysteries, so that's completely okay. But I think I think thrillers are a very exciting genre in literature. Like when it's done well, you just it's just a whole different experience reading a thriller. Like as you said about unreliable narrators, I think unreliable narrators make thrillers more exciting.
Yeah,
I love reading about them because they keep you guessing till the end. As I've said about allegedly unreliable narrators, and both of these books get me up at 4 a.m. So I think people it's like reading a thriller is basically a trial and error method also, I feel,
yeah,
because you're not going to like every book. You're going to be disappointed with a lot of thrillers because they get very predictable and use the same plot device again and again. But at the same time, I think there are these certain thrillers that you'll read that will totally, going to it's going to become a favorite. It's going to make you fall in love with thrillers as it did with me. And I think people just need to give a chance to it and just have a trial and error method. Just try and just keep trying to read this genre. I think it's really nice. And so I think yes, and so like like thrillers, psychological thrillers, all these really make your brain like move and think a lot about a lot of things. Like may not be all thrillers, but some thrillers really make you think about how people perceive, mental illness, and because a lot of thrillers use mental health as a plot device, which is not always that good. But it also makes you question about the whole thriller genre and its relatedness to mental health and everything. So I think there's a lot to learn from thrillers, a lot that you can maybe try to have an open discussion about from these books. So
definitely.
like yes, so yes, I just like I've loved this genre. I've just fallen in love with it recently, like from like around I think 2 years, and I feel like I need to make more people read thrillers and everything.
That's really good. And most thrillers are also very fast paced, so you actually read them really quickly. And
Mm,
within that period, you are really refreshed to pick up another book in the next time you actually do pick up a book. So yeah, I do think
mm,
that's really well. So, before we end, I would like to speak a few things about Storytel and how it has helped me immensely increase my reading game. Like, it's July right now, and I've already finished reading 145 books, many of which were audiobooks this time. So I think audiobooks really help you. And like we just mentioned, before in the beginning of this video, they're really accessible. You don't actually feel like doing anything, just lie down in bed and listen to an audiobook. Like maybe, and there's this timer feature also on Storytel, so you can like put it on, like say, like let it play for 10 minutes and then it will pause
mm.
automatically, just stop automatically. So it's really good if you're
And you
going to, yeah,
can change your time like speed if you want to listen to it
yeah,
faster or
absolutely. And like I said, it's very helpful because with the time feature you can, like I just said, with 10 minutes, if you are going to sleep at that time, you really want to put that on. And like Kachri mentioned, with the change of speed, you can do it. Like I personally do it in terms of the work I'm doing. Sometimes if I'm doing really mind numbing work which does not require me to actively use my brain, I can put the speed on high, because I won't be essentially using my brain. But supposing if I'm doing something that really needs a bit of focus from my side, the speed goes down so that I can focus on both things. So I think both are really good. And apart from that, I think the fact that Storytel gives you the statistics also. That's really nice, like which days you read the most, which hours you read the most. And I really personally have a lot of fun checking them out, the statistics, and obviously sharing them in my status and everything. So you guys can definitely check that too. And once again, before we end, I want to mention that we have an amazing offer going on right now. If you pay just 375 rupees, you get to use Storytel for a period of 90 days. That's 3 months. 3 months of payment will get you an unlimited amount of reading done, because there is no capping off or limit to the number of audiobooks you can listen to and download or anything like that. So yeah, definitely do check out Storytel, and definitely do check out all of these books that we have mentioned. Once again, we'll make sure to link them down below in the description box so that you can check them out once again along with their links. And we might also give some extra recommendations for you all. So yeah, thank you all so much. And thank you so much, Kaji, for being with me. This was really, really a wonderful, and I had a lot of fun talking about all of these amazing books with you.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun too.
Thank you. So yeah, that's it, guys. Take care, have fun, and I'll see you again with another episode with another amazing person you love. And yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye bye.